What was your thing in high school? What were you doing?
I was dropping out.
Oh, you dropped out of high school?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? What happened?
I went to 3 different high schools.
Why?
The first one was because I had ran away from home at 15. And so I ended up in foster care.
Wait. Do you want to talk about this?
It's so dramatic.
Why did you run away from home?
Abuse.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry.
No, don't apologize. You didn't do it.
I realize I didn't do it, but I still feel bad.
See, it's okay. I'm good now.
Okay.
But yes, it was 15. I ran away the day after my quote unquote quinceañera, which I actually didn't have a quinceañera. I just turned 15 and,
Yeah.
there's a whole story behind that.
You had siblings, though, yeah?
See, and they still exist.
But did they run away too? Or?
I had one other sibling who also left.
Okay.
But anyway, so I ran away at 15. I ended up in foster care, and then I had to move to a different high school. So I ended up at a practically all-white high school.
Sure. Sorry, I have so many questions. Can I?
What's your questions? Let me stop.
When you run away, where do you run to?
The streets. You run with friends. You hide.
So basically, you were just constantly running away.
No, I ran away once. I ran away when I was 15,
Yeah.
and that was the end of.
And then you were just out in the streets.
Well, I ended up with. I wouldn't call him a boyfriend, but my boyfriend's grandmother.
Oh, okay.
She lived
so
very
you had
near.
somewhere to go.
Yes,
Okay.
of course. So I stayed there for about. I know this is very specific. I don't think I've talked about this. For about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, I got to go to foster care.
You said that as a child, really?
Yeah. I was
That's
just like, okay,
amazing.
I got to. Well, because I already knew about this foster care. And I was like, this is my only.
Hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I ended up in foster care.
So you were aware of it just from like people in your school or something?
Because my sister had left. But she didn't leave under the same circumstances.
Okay.
So she ended up in foster care. And I was
Got
like,
you.
oh, I can go there.
Oh, okay. That helps.
Yes.
So you did, and it worked out well for her. Because foster care can be tricky. I mean, if you get placed in a bit poor home.
Tricky. Yes. Yes. No, it wasn't well for her.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
It good and bad. There's
Okay.
good and bad always. There's pros and cons
but
always.
good enough that you were inclined to do it.
Of
Because I feel
course.
like as a kid, most kids would be shy away from that.
I think you wouldn't shy away if you were really under a terrible situation.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like you would shy
anything
away
else
even
would help.
more. Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if you're in an abusive home,
Right.
I
would
physical abuse, verbal abuse, and just like mental abuse. That absolutely I would. At the time, I was like, I would rather just live in a box.
Right.
Well,
that's what I'm saying. Can I play devil's advocate?
Right.
To me, that would teach me not to trust any adult. And why would I want to be placed in another position where that can happen? That's what I was thinking.
Because it's how you're treated. Like I guess I've never been a person who associates like one
person's actions with the
yes,
the whole.
Exactly.
That's very
no, exactly. Like what they how they presented themselves, the foster care, did not show me that they were going to do the same thing that my dad was doing at the time, the way I was being raised at the time. But it was also, I had a stepmother at the time. She'd moved in, so it was hostile environment and abusive and just terrible. And I said, I think at that point I was very depressed and I was having thoughts, like terrible thoughts.
Yeah.
And I said, this is not normal. I gotta go because I'm kind of winding into a hole.
Yeah. You also sound very precocious. I mean, everything you're saying is like a well thought out, reasonable decision. And I feel like as a kid, people just not whimsically, sorry, that might not be the best word.
But that sounds like a fairy tale. Whimsically lived.
They do something on whims or instincts, and it's not always the right decision. Like, I'll go do these drugs on an instinct.
I thought about it for a long time.
Okay, yeah. It seems
I was like, okay, you have one last chance. Like in my mind, I was like, my dad, he has one last.
Yeah.
Like one
and you
more.
stuck to that.
And I stuck to it. And then that one thing that he did, I was like, I'm done.
That's amazing. That's really incredible.
I'm done. I'm gone. Because if I stayed there, in my mind, I thought, yeah, this is not going to end well. Like something bad is going to happen.
Right, yeah.
And it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, I need to go for my own mental state.
That's an incredible story. And when you got to the foster care, they found you a home pretty quick, or did it take a while?
It was the home. There was like three homes on the property. I don't want to mention who, but there was three homes on the property, and we got like all the children got to stay with, one family, for a week, the next family for the next week. Like we would all kind of change, like around the property. And it was a good place. There were rules. There was, what do you call it? Like people actually sat down to have dinner together.
Yeah.
Like there were things that like a schedule.
Right.
And I wasn't used to having a schedule.
Of course, yeah.
And I yearned for that.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, I do want to brush my teeth at 8 p.m.
Right.
Like that kind of thing as a kid. It's like, because yes, I was still technically a kid. But then...
So it wasn't really foster care in the sense that they put you up with a family. It was more like a kind of like a shelter area. It was three families living next to each other.
Like you would call it a children's home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not like this is way before, like when I was actually like much younger, I did end up in foster care, like in and out and like shelters and things like that.
Right.
But this is all like different story,
Right.
a different chapter.
How many kids were in the three rotating homes?
Oh, God.
Was it a fair amount?
Yeah, there were like... I don't know. I'm going to put out a number, like 10.
Okay.
There was a large group of children that we would all, like you'd have, 2 siblings, you'd have 3 siblings, and then it was my sister and I, and then you have all these other children that the parents themselves had.
Gotcha.
Were their biological children.
So as a result of that, you went to multiple high schools then?
Because of that, I ended up at this practically all white high school.
Yeah.
And then I was at foster care for about a year, and I left foster care because I was through with that, not in good terms, and then I ended up like on the streets for about 2 years.
What?
Yeah, it's like just like a vagabond, like trying to figure it out. And I was also rebelling. I was angry. There was a lot of trauma.
So you were through with foster care in the sense that you were rebelling. You were just like, I don't want to do this. I'm not happy here.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And then you lived on the streets of Albuquerque as a 16-year-old?
Pretty much, yes. And then I that's when I ended up, before I ended up there, I went to this another high school. And then I was like, yeah, I don't have transportation to get to this high school.
Right.
And this was like this was like in the valley, which means it was all like cholos.
Yeah.
So it was like completely different than, you have your all white, high school, and then you go to like the ghetto.
Yeah. Cholos. I love the sugar on the cholos.
What's that? I don't get it. The sugar on the cholos.
I was trying to make a churros joke, but it didn't work.
No, hombre. You got to set that up. That's a bad setup.
I did it okay.
That's terrible.
Well, you said cholos, and I was going to say it, and then I let you talk, and then I had to pull it back, and then it didn't work.
What did the cholos say when the house fell on him?
Ay, papa.
Why would he say that? No. Think about it. Do you want to know?
Casa. Is casa in the answer? Ouchie casa.
In English.
Ouch my house.
These people are getting bored already. Come on, let's get to it. Okay, it is get off me, Holmes. That's so cheesy. Oh, God, it's so cheesy.
Wait, so...
Anyway, it's a huge story.
I know, and this is fascinating because I had no idea, and you seem so well-adjusted. I mean, this sounds...
Well, thank you.
Okay. I didn't know if that was going to be offensive or not, but you seem like you came from a very happy childhood. In all seriousness,
I know.
You're laughing all the time.
Yeah.
You said you're loud, you're boisterous, and so it doesn't. When you say all this, I'm just so floored because it doesn't strike me as what I would have pictured you coming from.
Yes, and
That's
a lot of people tell me that. Yeah, absolutely.
So you lived on the streets for like you were just living in tents or was under overpasses?
No, I never got to that point. I ended up like sleeping at people's houses, sleeping crashing in trucks, friends like cars. I'd end up like at motels. I'd just end up like at different places all the time. There was no real home. I'd never had one set place. Sure. It was always basically me. Just and I never had a care in the world, no worry. I never worried about where I was going to end up. I always thought we'll figure it out tonight. Yeah. Like I'm not worried. Also, I was working. I had a job.
Oh, what were you doing?
I was working at Taco Bell.
Nice.
I worked at Taco Bell. I worked at Burger King. I worked
at the same time.
No, this was like back to back. I worked at Burger King, and then I ended up at Taco Bell for a while. And
There's a joke there, but I won't say it.
What's the joke? Is it good? Okay, don't say it if it's not good.
It's based in stereotypes.
Oh, don't do it. But yes, so I was working at fast food places.
Yeah, so you had an income.
Of course, I had an income.
And you didn't have to pay rent, so you were just stacking dollars.
No, I was stacking the $5 an hour I was making.
Sorry.
That was a minimum wage back then.